Miss Diane and introduce her as our fabulous media specialist here. She is our Orlando Central Florida regional coordinator, and she brings a wealth of experience in the media. And this is really important, especially now for our small businesses. As you're being creative, those creative stories are going to be of interest to the media. So now Diane is going to tell us how to do that.
All right. And with help from my friend Stephanie, who's steering my PowerPoint. Yeah, there we go. And thanks. Okay, so this is the first in what I understand. We are going to have a really exciting series called Planting the Seeds. And this is all for you all who are planting the seeds of your business for different things you're doing. And so this is all about sharing your story in the media. And hopefully I can help. I've been a journalist for 35 years. I know that's hard to believe because and I started when I was about 4. I've been a business owner for 20 years of the current business. Actually, I owned another business for 10 years on and off in antiques. And I have been a WBEC advocate for 18 years, I would say, probably longer, but I've been here doing this with Nancy and this group for 5 years. And I say a green thumb, you know, I inherited a green thumb from my grandmother. I don't always use it, but I do use it in business. So we're going to talk all about your resources in planting the seeds and growing your business. So I love this quote that you don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. And that was by Robert Louis Stevenson, who is a Scottish novelist and poet. And my heart is in Scotland. That's where my boyfriend is. So I don't know when I'll get back there, but it'll be sometime soon after COVID. And we'll go to the next slide. So now it's time for you. You need to become the expert that you were meant to be. So you know that you want to be the go-to expert in your area in the media, and you want them to call you and you want to be quoted by them as an expert. So how do you make that happen? How do you plant those seeds? Well, the important thing is that you grow your company more like a vine than like a weed. So you have to do this very carefully and cultivate it, right? So you don't want to just willy-nilly be shooting stuff out there and trying to get the media to notice you. You want to be written about, and you want to be written about in a good way, right? We've all, you know, we're always capable of getting in the media in a bad way. We don't want that to happen. So stop wondering why other people are so lucky that their companies are in the media and you are not. There is a way to do it. So I'm going to walk you through that today. And I've said here, I've given you some notice that maybe you have been posting on social media and you've been mailing postcards or you've been placing ads and you've been being really, really nice, but that is just not enough. There's more that you have to do. All right, so first of all, let's decide what's your story. What kind of story are you going to tell? That's the important thing. They're not just going to write about you because you're nice or you're good looking, or you have to have something that's important for the media to write about. So let's use all your tools. And if you are not connecting with customers like you want to, then these tools might help you connect better. You know, Nancy and our group, we always like to say people want to do business with people they know, they like, and they respect. And so the way to do that is to become known as an expert without you saying you're an expert. When the media says you are, then you pretty much are. So, and I wanted to say, stop standing in the shade, right? It doesn't look good on you. Come on out and stand in the sun. The object is to let people get to know you better and get to know your company better. So they can't consider you a go-to expert if they don't know who you are, right? So let's look at the different kinds of media we're talking about here. And not everybody agrees with me on these groupings, but I consider print media magazines, newspapers, research reports, white papers, and books, right? Those are all in print, things that you can tangibly touch. There's also broadcast and digital media. So we have radio, TV, but you also have YouTube, you have your website, and you have blogs. So I consider those all digital broadcast kind of media. Then there's social media, and this is stuff that's really kind of more immediate. The LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So today we're going to focus a lot on the print and broadcast media, but you can also use some of these on your social media ventures as well. All right, so here's a cool statistic I found that 50% of adults who are ages 30 to 69, they read newspapers daily or frequently. 50%. So it is, people say, oh, newspapers are dying, but maybe they are, but people are still reading them. But 100% believe that being quoted in a newspaper or magazine is prestigious. And that's a quote from me. All right, so we're going to talk about three things today. One is your pitch, how you approach the media. The second piece is your story, what you want the readers or the viewers to know about you. And the third is your angle, what makes your topic relevant now. So these are all about gathering the seeds. You have to know all three of these things before you really get started on approaching the media with your story. Okay, so this one is about your pitch. This is the first part of your strategy. First of all, you need to determine your angle. What is it that's going to catch the attention of the media? Then you need to write a press release, and the format is important. We're going to go over that. You have to send it to the right person. Do your homework first, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. And then follow up. Finesse wins over frequency. Okay, so I have a friend who was trying to get something in the media, and she sent a press release, and then she did a follow-up call, and then she called the poor guy every 3 days just to say, did you get my press release? Did you get it? Did you get it? And of course he stopped calling her back, wouldn't you? And so that wasn't the right approach. You know, maybe a new press release with something new or something different. So we'll talk about some of those things too. So let's talk about what a press release looks like. This is one that we did recently for WBEC, Florida. This is for Nancy's new book, Nancy Allen's new book. And hopefully you all have heard that it's a pretty exciting book called The Decision to Scale. And this is what our press release looks like at the top. So you'll notice it has the logo. It has for immediate release. So that shows that it's new, and it has the date of the release. And you try to put the most recent date you can. You know, you don't want to create this in August and not put it out until September. Make sure that it has the recent date on it. And then the media contact, whoever it is that you want to receive all the phone calls and all of that. And there is something to be said about having, if it's your company, having a separate media contact. Either it looks like someone who's in your company or someone who's representing your company, and it makes your company look a little bit bigger, but that's not always necessary. If you do have a one-person consultancy, or if you're the CEO and you want people to contact you rather than your employees, that is A-okay. And so then you also, this is just a bigger look at, or a smaller look, I should say, at the first page. You can see that you have a logo and a header. Of course, we just talked about that. And then your headlines. So usually it has two headlines. The top one is kind of the attention grabber. And then the second headline defines what it is you're talking about. It just gives you room to make a little bit more. And in press releases, it's not important to write the shortest headline you can, like it is like in a newspaper or a magazine. You want to just get as much information as you can crammed into those little headlines, but also make them kind of pithy or kind of fun or intriguing. Um, then there's something called a date line, and that's where it says Miami, Florida. That just tells where it's coming from. So a lot of times a reporter, like me, I get press releases all day, every day, and I have to read through some of these things sometimes and say, does this pertain to Central Florida at all? Because that's what I cover. Or is this something from California or New York or Washington or even Miami? And so putting that right there helps the reporter. It just speeds things up. And the first paragraph should absolutely grab the attention of the people. It doesn't have to have every single fact in it, but it does have to grab attention, and it should have some facts. The second page, if your press release goes to a second page, it doesn't have to. There's some school of thought, just like a resume, that it should all be on one page. But as your business matures, your resume grows longer, and so do your press releases sometimes. So be sure to liven it up with some quotes. You saw some quotes on the previous page, and also some bullet points. Anything that you can put in bullet point format. Remember, people are going to be looking at this really quickly to decide, is this something I want to write about or not? And so the quotes are kind of important. They have to be interesting enough to capture people's attention, and that where a reporter or someone can actually pull that out and use it if necessary in a story. If they don't have the opportunity to interview you, those quotes are really important. And then at the bottom of every press release, you'll see 3 pound signs, or however you want to call them, hashtags now. Those 3 little signs. That's usually signifies this is the end of the press release, and everything after that is extra information. And so that's called the boilerplate, where you have the about us, you do have an about us on your website. This is really similar. The about section is, it contains what your company is about. It can contain your company's mission. If you're in multiple locations, it should say that you're not just in Tampa or Jacksonville or Miami, that you are in all 3, or that you also have offices in Ohio. Wherever you are, it should say that. And then it should also include some relevant facts and statistics. So you'll see in here about WBEC Florida. We were founded in 1993. We are one of 14 regional partner organizations of WBEC. And WBEC has certified more than 16,000 companies as women-owned enterprises. Those are all really impressive facts. Any impressive fact you have about your company, go ahead and put it in there. And then to get the attention, besides the press release, put out the word that you're available to be quoted as a resource in articles that are not necessarily about your company. We've talked about this before on these calls. Help a Reporter Out is one of the best resources. HARO. You just get in and you log in, you register yourself, you kind of talk about what your specialties are. And if a reporter is doing a national story or a statewide story or any kind of story where the reporter cannot find a resource on something that's just kind of different, not about the city council or the county commission, the reporter can get in and look up resources and then call you. And this does happen. I've had it happen on both ends, where people have called me as a resource or where I've actually called them as a reporter. And it's just easy. It's a great, easy resource. One of the important things to remember is that if a reporter calls you, call back, or emails you, email back right away. Because if not, you don't know that that person's not reaching out to 10 other people, and you want to be the first one to get the opportunity. So let's talk about your story. This is the second part of your strategy. And this is all about 5 W's and a WN. So when you start your press release, you want to start with the most important general information. So you've got your introductory paragraph, sure, and that should be something kind of fun and exciting. Then you get to the nuts and bolts, the meat of the press release and what you're trying to say. And then you narrow it down to the details, become less and less, I guess, essential as you go. This is what is called the inverted pyramid. Newspaper articles have been written like this forever. They're written as if you're going to chop off the end of them. And once you chop off the end, you still get the gist of the story. So kind of keep that in mind when you're writing a press release. The 5 W's, and by the way, I'm a copy editor as well. So when you say W''S, that is actually correct. The only thing that gets an apostrophe S is a single letter or number. If you say elements, it wouldn't be element apostrophe S, okay? But W''S is. That's my copy editing tip for you guys today. Convey all the relevant information. So you have to know who, what, when, where, and why. And then the most important thing in this whole thing is why now? So why you and why now? If you don't include why now in your press release, then all you can hope is that it will be picked up someday and not on your timetable. All right, and then here's the third part of your strategy, your angle. And I see I have the 5 W's and an N anyway. So here are some topics, some ideas. So it could be that you are sending a press release about something new, an invention, a product, something you've published, like a book or a white paper, some kind of research you've done. Either you're kicking off the research and you're looking for people to participate, or the results of what you found. Some kind of a program that you're putting on, your company is putting on, some kind of a location. Maybe you've opened a new location, you're a business, you've opened a second or third location, or you've switched locations. That's worthy of a press release. An app, if you have kicked off an app that goes with your business, of course, that's definitely worth announcing. A C-suite appointment, and by that I mean, you might not want to put out a press release every time you put in a manager or even a director, but if you have a new CEO or CFO or a chief operating officer, yeah, of course, or a chief marketing officer, anything like that, that usually is worthy of a press release. Some kind of an academic theory. So depending on your business, maybe you have some kind of theory that you're working on and you want to share that and let people know that, something maybe about COVID and how it spreads or something that would come into that. Or a viewpoint on current news. But maybe you have a viewpoint as a professional on something that is in the news right now that you're not seeing come out in the news. You can write a press release and send that out. All right. And then something happening. This is kind of like events, those kinds of things. So let's say you have a live or a virtual event coming. You're doing a program. You have an educational session that you're putting on. You have a gathering of important people, or you've had a visit from someone famous to your business. You're undergoing a merger or acquisition. You're doing a major project or a collection of projects. Any of those things. Or something what I call hip. So anything that's trendy, a trend in your industry that you want to comment on, or that you've noticed, a trend in your geographic area, a trend among your buyers, a trend among sellers like you. So whatever it is that you do, you've noticed a trend in something, or demographic trend, maybe more women are doing this than men in this industry that you're in, or an unusual viewpoint, something that's really just contrary to what everyone else is thinking, and you want to make sure you get that out because it's important and you're right. Okay, and then also let's talk about your follow-up. So cultivating relationships is really interesting and important here. You want to be essential, so be informative. So know that reporters aren't going to know as much about your subject matter as you do. So be helpful, but also be concise. Try not to provide everything you know in one conversation or one email, because they'll never be able to plow through all that. They just want the details, some of the details, but not all. And then be gracious. It's not all about you. You know, sometimes they don't get back to you right away, and it could be because they're, you know, like me right now, I'm not in my home because I'm having work done on my house. And so I can't live at home. I'm living at a hotel. You know, it could be something like that. And then be first. We talked about that. When you see an opportunity on HeyRoad, just jump right in. Do not wait to respond. And if someone calls you about a story, call right back, because that person's probably on deadline. And then be reliable. If you want to be quoted over and over again, you might become a source that a reporter can count on from time to time, and then you know you're an expert. So be essential. All right. And just enjoy that. Enjoy the spotlight, because you've earned it. And if you have any questions about getting into the media, just feel free to ask. I wanted to show you a picture of one of my favorite gardens. Of course, this was in winter time. So this is Leon Castle in Scotland. Beautiful gardens. I'd like to see it in the summer, but maybe next year. But go ahead and plant those seeds.
Great.
That's beautiful, Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Let's see if anybody has any questions. Any questions?
Well,
So I
I
have
think
a question.
okay.
Would you recommend somebody writing a press release after they were to, let's say, get their WBEC certification? Or is that, because I've seen it sometimes done, and what is your opinion?
You know, it's probably not going to be picked up by the media, but if you put that on your website, that's a really good thing. So I would say, yes, write the press release, put it on your website. And when the media is looking for other things and they see that, that's like, oh, that's a big deal. So, but you know, but there are so many people who are certified in all of our areas that it wouldn't be something they would necessarily pick up on their own, on its own. Yeah, great question. Great question.
Yeah.
And we keep these presentations really short, but there were some things that we could get into more in depth on this. For instance, how do you know who to send the press release to? We didn't really go into that, so let me go into that a little bit. When you are sending it to, let's say, a newspaper or a magazine, let's say you're doing the local business journal, you should look up who covers your industry, and you can do that pretty easily online. So just find out who covers your industry, send it right to that person. So, and you can actually copy the editor, so the editor-in-chief. If you're sending it to a TV station, copy the producer, you know, the general manager. Go ahead and copy the person, but send it right to the reporter who you know should be covering your angle. And make it personal, you know, say, hey, I just watched something, a report you did on channel X about this, and I want you to know that we are doing such and such because this is a really important aspect for us, and didn't know that you knew about this, and I wanted to let you know. And they'll be grateful, and sometimes they'll pick things up that you'd be surprised, and some things they won't pick things up that surprise you. You know, you never know. You could have like 5 people sending them press releases at the same exact time with different angles of the same type of story, and they pick something else other than yours. That doesn't mean it's not still in their brain or it's not still in their files as a potential story. So,
Diane, we do have a question that says, when placing this on a website, should we use the same format?
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, can you speak about an award, right? So let's say that somebody has received
awards. Good
an
one.
award. How would you suggest they write a press release about that?
I would definitely write press releases about any rewards you receive. The bigger and the more broad they are, the better, of course. Like if you're in a local chapter of something and you receive the award, you might not want to send it to, a statewide news source, but definitely your local news sources. If it's a national award, send it to anyone who will listen. But definitely, thank you, Nancy. That was one that was omitted from there.
Diane,
Words are great.
how do you recommend sending it? So email, what are some of the methods that you would recommend? And how do you follow up with these people to know that they got it or you're making headway?
Email is a great resource. I used to get some press releases by mail a long time ago. That's almost come to a stop. This still happens occasionally, but email is great. You can also just send somebody an email saying, hey, thought you'd want to know this. And instead of putting the whole press release in the email, you can put a link to the press release on your website. But I would give them the nuts and bolts in that email first, with a link. And that's fine too. That gets them to go to your website. Most reporters prefer that you take the entire press release and put it in the email so that they don't have to click on a link or an attachment. But it's depending on who it is and how, what kind of relationship you have with them. I mean, I get a lot of press releases from people who just say, hey, I knew that you would be interested in this. This looks like a good story for you. And then they just send me a link. If I already know them and or am aware of their company and trust them, then I don't mind going to their link. Yeah. But if you're a stranger, that's different. It also helps too, when you do send these out, make sure that your signature is on your email and that signature has everything in it. One of my pet peeves is people who don't put their email address in their signature. I know it sounds goofy because it's coming from you, but your signature should be a whole unit that shows how to contact you. And how many times have you ever picked up somebody's signature and sent it to somebody else as, here's the contact information for this person? And if you are sharing information and you have to go back and go, all right, now I have to find the person's email address and put that in, then that's an extra step that makes it harder for people to share. So go ahead and have a really good signature. Some people have their logos in their signature and all that kind of thing. But put all of the information in there. That's just helping you be a better resource. If you just sign it, Diane, people are going to go, who's that? Or if you just have your name and your title and your phone number, I mean, it doesn't look that inviting that you're sending it from a professional source.
Right. And chances are too that if the reporter is somewhat interested, they'll link to your website to get more information. Mm-hmm. So that's why you always want to include your website in your signature line, right? Because sometimes we forget that. And then, as you said, Diane, it's one more thing the person has to do. So you want to, I don't want to sound pedantic and say spoon feed it, but you just have to make it as easy as possible, right? Because you need this person as much or more than they need you. And the easier you can make it for them to find the relevant information to be able to choose you, then that makes the likelihood that they're going to choose you a lot higher.
Yeah. A lot of times when I'm putting my story list together to assign articles, I just take the person's information and I just put it right in there so that whoever I'm assigning it to, the reporter, can take that information. So if I have to do a whole bunch more research, it just slows me down, and then I kind of roll my eyes and think, well, if they had done more of their homework, then I wouldn't have to do so much here. But it's nice for me when I can just take the person's signature or that contact information at the top of the press release and the first paragraph and plunk it into my story lineup and be done with it. So, everybody operates differently, and a lot of people are more forgiving, and so that's helpful. But yeah.
Well, these are really amazing tips, Diane. Thank you so much. And I have to say that Harrow website, I used to subscribe to that a long time ago. And one time I I got called by a reporter from Inc. magazine,
Mhm.
and they called me for a quote and put my quote in the article. So it actually can work. So I definitely encourage people to do it. So as we get ready to wind down, do we have any final comments from the rest of our coordinators who may have some insights on this topic, or anything else you'd like to share about getting noticed with people in their businesses and publicity and such?
Well, I think that I'll just add that you always have to start somewhere, right? And so what we're doing is planting these seeds to say, have you considered XYZ? And here's a snippet of what you can do if you've considered it, or even if you haven't considered it. Diane provided some really great resources and some tips. And I encourage you all to reach out, find out who is the local reporter in your industry, right? Maybe that's the first thing you do today. Just get that person's name. And then from there, start building a relationship. Find something that you can submit a press release about. I'm sure if you have some milestone anniversary coming up, that you've been in XYZ city for 25 years and you have employed, 100 people or 10 people, something that's going to set you apart, right? And write a press release, get to know that reporter. I think the second thing I would encourage everybody to do is to sign up for Help a Reporter Out. So those are two really easy things you can do right today to kind of get you on this path. Right. So Diane, would you say there's maybe a third thing that people could do right away?
Yes, I would actually start looking at maybe make a list of anything that is kind of significant that would be press-worthy in your business or industry. Just start making a list of any kind of things, and you'll be surprised at what you come up with. You can use my list. There's a list in Nancy's book that's a little different. There are other lists around on the website of things that are worthy of a press release. Definitely start making a list, because you'll be surprised at how much you have going on that actually is newsworthy. Yeah.
Well, anyone else, any final parting comments? Thanks, Diane, for that so much.
Just
Emily, I
great
did want to say
information.
that
Yes, Carmen?
go for the
I was
green.
saying- I'm sorry, go ahead, Diane.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carmen. I wanted to remind people that Go for the Greens is completely virtual this year and is in September. So it's September 22nd through 26th. And it's all online. And we have matchmakers. We have a corporate corner. And then we have 2 days that have a 4 hours worth of programming. So really cool workshop type stuff. And WBEC Florida is very involved. Nancy and Stephanie have been working with me very closely to put all this together, in addition to our great Go for the Greens volunteer team.
Excellent. All right, that's
So
exciting.
forthegreens.org. We're just updating the website this
It's
week.
on. Steph posted it. It's up. We posted it in the chat.
Great. Okay. Great.
Carmen, what did you want to share, Carmen?
No, I was thinking that one of the things that you can also post press releases if during COVID-19 you have pivoted your business in a completely different direction. I mean, that would be a great,
Great one.
vehicle to announce what you're doing now. So, for those of businesses that have done that, perhaps, pull your thoughts together on that. Is it something that you're going to continue to be doing later on as things finally settle down? Or, so I think it's really great to utilize all the media tools that you have there to get the word out regarding your business and how it stands now.
A great idea.
Yeah, that is a great tip. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming today. Thanks again, Diane, for the great insights, and everyone for your contributions. Thank you for all of you coming today. And if you've missed this, watch it on YouTube. If you want to watch it again, we have the replay on YouTube and also our Facebook page where we have broadcast live as well. So you can watch us all day long and post questions, and we'll go back and look at the questions as well. So thank you all so much.
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Bye, y'all. Miss
Have
you.
a great week.
Okay,
Bye.
take care.
Bye.